guys, it's your boy Corey.
It's your boy John.
And welcome back to the Artistry Drop, where we feature stories from today's rising artists.
Yes, sir.
If you like being inspired, don't miss out on our weekly episodes, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification to be notified when we drop new episodes.
Let's go.
Guys, last episode of this month, just me and John. It's definitely been fun. We'll definitely get back to doing more of these solo episodes, but we got guests coming back onto the show.
Yes,
and
sir.
it's gonna be dope. So today's topic, we definitely wanted to get a little bit more personable. Is that a word?
Personable, I guess.
I guess. But we definitely wanted to get a little bit more personal on it. We're going to talk about some sacrifices and leaving our hometown of Seattle, because it's definitely been different. It's been hard, and we want to talk about it a little bit for other people that are possibly thinking about the same thing. But before we do, we got to get into the drink of the day.
All right, the drink of the day is, we've had this on many times because it's a classic. It's a staple of where we grew up. Back at Mizu, we used to always drink the blue Hawaiian.
Yes.
So this is the blue Hawaiian. It has a blue curacao, coconut rum. This is the 70 proof coconut rum, so it has 35% alcohol. It's a little bit stronger than your average. And then I also put some pineapple juice and coconut cream, and that's honestly it. It's very simple, very quick, and it's one of our favorites since it's just us, blue Hawaiian.
Let's fucking go, blue Hawaiian.
Let's
Cheers.
go. Cheers. And it's strong
blue.
too.
Yes, it is. It does taste strong. How many shots did you add in this?
Well, the last drink you said it wasn't strong enough, so I was like, oh, okay.
I still gotta drive.
Well, it's your fault for saying it wasn't strong enough.
Wow.
It's only 3.
Okay, that's not bad. No, but talking about hometown, for sure, like, me and John literally hit up Mizu, like, maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
There was one time we were going like twice a month.
Yeah, we were going twice a month. Like, we've gone to Mizu so many times. For those that don't know Mizu is pretty much a Japanese steakhouse where, they prep the meals for you in front of you. It's almost like Benihana's.
Yeah, Benihana's.
But Benihana's suck.
Yeah.
Mizu,
it's overpriced.
Yeah, it's overpriced. It's not as good. Mizu was just one of those hole-in-the-wall places.
Right.
And it was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that's why we kept going back there. We took our other friends there. We would go through the different times of the day, whether it was lunch or dinner. Yeah. Dinner was always popping though, but
it's
lunch,
more expensive.
Yeah, it's more. Lunch is the best time to go because literally nobody's there. Dead. Like, I miss going back to Mizu, and
damn, we gotta go back.
I know, damn. Because we literally talked whenever we talked about going home, we're like, we gotta go to fucking Mizu, and we never did because COVID. When we went back home the last time, COVID was just.
You haven't tried that hibachi truck yet here.
Yeah, the one that you tried. Yeah, I haven't tried that one yet.
Yes, it reminds me of Mizu. Oh my god.
So me and Rachel have tried a couple other hibachi spots. I forget what it was, but it was here in LA, and that shit was fucking amazing. It's just fucking overpriced.
Right.
Because obviously, Mizu, you're at a sit down and they supply more stuff, but some of the places they give you here, it's just your entree. That's it. But at Mizu, you get like hella extra. You get the miso soup and all that kind of shit. It's amazing. So for all our Seattle homies, if you have never tried Mizu yet, located in South Center, and I think they have a couple other locations, go fucking check out Mizu. It's amazing. Tell them we sent you, even though they don't know who we are.
Mizu, sponsor us.
Sponsor us, Mizu. When we come back home to Seattle, come on, hook us up with many meals, because we spent a lot of money there, guys. We spent every month we spend a lot of money there. But going into our topics, we're gonna talk about sacrifices and leaving home. So I'm gonna let John start it off.
Yeah, sir. So going into like a serious note, like, man, like moving to LA was crazy, but also like just like changing our mindset and where we're at. Obviously when you move to a different area and leave your hometown, you can't have the same mindset that you did when you were there, because that's the reason why you moved to a whole different place, was to become the person that you knew you had the potential to be. And my first little topic here is just like, you have to be able to do the things that others won't. When you change your mindset, obviously, like, you're not going to be, hanging out with people late at night and doing all that. You got to be able to plan your weeks, put in the extra hours and making like sacrifices into having fun, because obviously, you want to enjoy your time being in LA, being in a new city. We did enjoy our time as well, but you have to be able to separate, pleasure and work, and not get lost into, having fun in a new city, because obviously we moved here for a purpose. So you have to really stay true to your purpose and the reason why you've moved here in the first place. What do you think about changing your mindset and putting in the extra hours? Because we put a lot of hours in, and we say no to a lot of hangouts on the weekends and stuff like that, especially when we first moved down.
Yeah. No, honestly, I think it's very important to think about yourself and your career, because John said, this is why we moved out here. If you're going to move out to a different place, it's very important you focus on your career. We didn't move out here to party, guys.
Exactly.
I did sit down and talk to John years ago, and I was like, bro, if we move out to LA, we can't get involved with the party life. We can have fun and go out and party, once in a while and stuff, but we're out here to make a name for ourselves. We're out here to grind. We're out here to make that bag, get that bag and stuff like that, don't think about the party life. A lot of people that move out here to LA definitely get caught up in the life. And I told John, we can't be one of those people.
Exactly.
I know if we put the time, the effort into everything that we do, we're going to be successful. And I feel like we've got a level of success being here in LA already. And, we're still working towards it. We're definitely not famous or anything like that. But I'm thankful to know a lot of people that are famous or that have made a staple in their career. It's dope knowing those kind of people. But for us, putting in those hours and putting in that work is definitely important. Because if you don't do it, where are you going to go with your career?
Yeah, exactly. And you have to be able to leave the person you were in the past as well, because honestly, if you are the same person you were when you left and when you're here, then obviously what's the point of even moving if you haven't changed your mindset, change your workflow, be and really stick to who you said you were going to be when you left.
Exactly.
Because obviously you moved for a reason, and you don't want to be the same person and come out with the same results. So if you're going to change and make that move, you better change within and your mindset as well. And coming with change, is also, breaking bad habits. We talked about, not being in the party life and, drinking, eating out, spending money, sleeping in, obviously, since we are on a schedule, because we want to accomplish so many different parts of our lives, we got to wake up early. We got to stay up late. You got to sacrifice your sleep, sacrifice, all the time that you, wasted. And a lot of times normal people won't agree, normal people won't get the grind. Normal people won't understand why you waking up early, why you only getting 3-4 hours of sleep. But honestly, it's because we're hungry. That's why we came out here. We came out here to make a name for ourselves. So we're going to lose that sleep. We're going to wake up early. We're going to stay up late because we're so passionate about what we are doing and why we moved out here. So you have to break the bad habits. It's going to take some time. Honestly, moving out, you definitely realize what bad habits you have. And we'll touch on leaving your hometown and what that consists of later in the podcast. But just breaking your bad habits and doing the things you hate to do, because that's what you really need to do. Is the things that you hate. And in order to become the best version of yourself, you got to break your bad habits. So break your bad habits for sure, changing your mindset, and speaking about the grind, people will notice, me and Corey really have, high morals, not only for ourselves, but for the podcast, for our videography and things like that, and how we move around with people. And I want to bring up a example for me for Somebody Fest. For Somebody Fest, I was working my ass off. They wanted me to do interviews and like a recap video on that first day on the Saturday, and honestly, I was so overworked, but I persevered, and they wanted me to not only film an interview, but they wanted me to edit it on the same day and upload it on the same day. So I was, I filmed my interviews, and then I went back into the media tent. I was literally like editing on the floor for like 2 hours. I edited not only like the color grade, the edits, the audio, everything within like a 2-hour span. And then I, passed it off to be uploaded. But like, I was honestly so stressed, and luckily, I had my sister as my assistant, so she was helping me film me and things like that. But like, I looked at everybody else in the media team, and I was just like, why am I working so hard? Everybody else is enjoying their time, doing, they're just for the vibe, they're of course they're working, I don't want to discredit anyone, but like, I was definitely sweating and busting my ass off. And it wasn't until the next day that I met up with, Salong, and, I think they really noticed how hard I was working. And I was the only one on that Sunday, the next day, on the stage. I got, nobody else in the media team, they were in the bottom of the stage, filming at front stage, but I was the only one on the stage. And I think, once you have the morals, and once you grind it out hard, people will notice, just like how people notice me in Somebody Fest. But like, you're also in social media, people will notice if you upload every day. People notice if you're putting in the extra time to stand out of the crowd. So you will feel alone. That's where I'm getting at, is like, in order to have something you've never had, you got to do something that you've never done before, and you got to do something out of the norm, and you got to do something that other people aren't willing to do. And that's the true like success and true key in order to stand out.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's facts. I would say, social media is one of those platforms where not a lot of people engage,
right.
but they see the work.
Right.
They will not comment, they will not like the post or whatever.
Facts.
But they will see the work, and they see the time. Because I've experienced this, and literally it's been within the last year or so that I've noticed, like, people know my work because when they message me, and I'm like, oh, so you have been watching. So, because these are people, I try to keep tabs on who likes my stuff or who comments on my stuff. Right. And I'm not going to lie, I don't really get as much comments anymore like I used to, because the algorithm or being shadow banned on my account or whatever it is. I definitely get more engagement on my new visual ones for sure. But, my current page, there's just really not much, but people do see what I'm doing. They see here on the artistry job. They see that we're having a baby.
Right.
Because there's been multiple times where people are like, oh, congrats, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, I didn't see them comment or say anything. So Facts. I know Instagram is doing this thing. It's getting my content around to people. It's just they're not engaging. And that's fine. Like, I don't really care. As long as I'm putting out my content, that's all that matters to me, because I know it will be seen in general. I got a great following, I think, for what I do right now.
Right.
And I know people are going to see it in general. So it doesn't really hurt me. I'm not getting as much likes as I used to, or as much content.
Yeah.
I'm still pushing out my content because I want to. And I know people are watching.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's all that matters. Like,
Facts.
as long as people are watching and seeing what I'm doing, that's all that matters, because they know what I do. I got the fucking artistry job here.
Yeah.
I got a fucking full-time job. I got the gaming live streams, photography, videography. Like, I got a lot going on, and same as John. Like, he's pretty much doing the same exact thing I'm doing, and we both have full-time jobs. So as long as people are seeing that all the effort and the work we're putting in, that's all that matters to me. Like,
I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper of like how, because you've definitely already had that mindset in Seattle about grinding, about putting your art first. You did YouTube, social media, and all that, and photography, and you really brought me on to that grind lifestyle. And also lifestyle and mindset. Like, for you, like, what drove you like to do that, and how did you keep that mentality of like, oh, I need to blow up, I need to keep changing, I need to keep doing this? Because obviously like people also get comfortable into their world and they're not like able to change, you know. So what has been going through your mindset as far as like moving here as well?
I feel like I'm a guest on our own podcast. Right? I feel like I'm a guest.
You're a guest. I think people should understand the sensei mentality. That's where I'm trying to get
honestly, like I never really thought about it that way. It's not something where like I think about like, oh, I'm working hard and I'm trying to do all this shit. It's like it's just in me. You know, what you just said, I never really thought about it that way because I don't think of it that way. Like it's just me grinding and trying to put out my work so I can get to a certain place where I'm like, oh, I made an impact on some people. I would definitely say, you know, when I started growing on social media and I noticed people engaging on my work and they're like, you inspire me so much, like your photography has inspired me and stuff like that. That's where I'm like, whoa, like I didn't know I had an impact like this. I want to keep doing this shit, you know. But in general, I think I've just always had a successful mentality where, you know, I want to grind and work to a certain point where I'm trying to get successful. I want to prove people wrong that if, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I've had some people at my old job like, like your videos are corny, or, you know, oh, that was kind of stupid. They don't understand. You know, I was creating content, that's all I was. And a lot of people in Seattle during that time when we're there, didn't understand that because they've never really seen anything like that. You know, I was creating the 206 CCB stuff. I mean, it was stupid videos, but it was content, you know, like we're just creating. And I think that's where my mindset came, was 206 CCB. And then, for those that don't know, it was a stupid YouTube channel, you know, a couple of my friends made and making stupid random videos. But other than that, you know, that's when I had the mentality of like, I want to make a name for myself. I think I'm the only one out of my family. I love the Saldanias, of course, but that have gone to this point.
Of course.
Like, you know, like
me too.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
we have like a bigger goal, bigger picture. Yeah. And a lot of people, you know, we'll get into like leaving our hometown, but like a lot of people in our hometown, they're comfortable.
No, exactly.
I was definitely comfortable as well. Yeah. And they don't see the bigger picture. So of course they're going to feel some type of way because honestly, it's a reflection about how they feel on their own life, on their own self. So obviously they're going to talk down on you. You know, you're trying to be a bigger person, but they can't even see that next step.
Yeah, for sure.
So of course they're gonna talk down on you. But
I mean, like I said, you know, majority of the people that talked down to me were people that I knew or my friends. Like my family has never really talked down to me. And, you know, big shout out to my Saldania family. It's a big ass family. We, you know, I got like
shout out to Pops.
Yeah, shout out to Pops.
Always supporting.
You know, my cousins and all that. I got a lot of cousins and stuff like that. I have 7. It's a big family. It's like a 7 Saldania family member. You know,
Filipinos got a big
family. We got a big family. So, you know, I know they always supported me. They were always asking, what am I doing in school? You know, school wasn't very important to them, you know, and then, you know, once they heard I was going to film school and stuff, you know, they were proud of me and stuff like that because once they found out I didn't graduate, I felt like that kind of put, you know, something a little there. I felt like I didn't, you know, make anybody happy. Yeah. You know,
any Asian household. You dropped out. Like, what?
Yeah, it was just one of those things. But this is for the whole Saldania family. You know, they all knew I didn't graduate. And I think I was the only one that never really graduated except for my uncles. I don't know if they fully graduated either. But out of all the cousins, I think I was the only one that never graduated. And, you know, after them knowing that, I felt like I kind of put a disappointment on our whole family. But then after going to film school and stuff like that, and now where I'm at now,
you know, graduated film school.
Graduated film school. I have a great following. I know celebrities. I know influencers. And, you know, I feel like I've reached a certain point of success now where it's like, oh, even my family sees, you know, I'm doing something big out here. And I'm the only one that lives out here in LA. Exactly. Like, you know, everybody lives back home in Seattle. So, you know, I think just for me, like that mentality of being successful just came naturally. It was just, I wanted to put a name out for myself and I wanted to not prove people wrong. It was just more like for myself. I want to make a name for us because in Seattle during that time, you know, you had influencers here, but I wouldn't say it was as big. You know, like now it's fucking big. It's everywhere. But nowadays, I was already trying to work towards that, being an influencer, I guess, but just being successful in my own art form.
Exactly. So, hell yeah. And you know, just like talking about like, you know, sacrifices, it's just also hard. You know, it's hard to be not only a creative because not a lot of people understand where you're coming from. You know, only other creatives know the sacrifice, the sleep, you know, everything that comes with, you know, being a creator full time. And we're not even full time as far as like we still have like normal 9-to-5 jobs, but we still put that full time hours on top of our full time jobs. So it's crazy, man. What sacrifices, you know, have you gone through as well, you know?
So you know, I definitely want to, like, I think some of the sacrifices I want to talk about are morally current, because I was, you know, when we were talking about this topic I was trying to think of sacrifices that I made, and I'll kind of reflect on some of the things I felt like I made coming out to LA, but I want to talk about more recently. So, you know, definitely more recently was sacrificing sleep, because, you know, every day I'm fucking tired. Like I feel like even you know, we both are doing something every day. I got my 9-to-5 at, you know, it's 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. But I gotta be up at like 7 o'clock because my drive is fucking long to work, stuck in traffic and stuff like that. So, you know, sacrificing sleep, I probably get 5 hours of sleep every day. I'm not sure. Probably you almost the same.
Yeah, about
5 to 6 hours or whatever. So every day I'm fucking tired. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard.
No, it's hard even to tap in after work.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
Because since we have a full-time job, we also have to find time to edit.
Exactly.
You know, you do gaming as well. You know, streaming gaming. Like, it's hard to tap in after 5.
It is,
because that's when the real work happens. Because that's where we want to be. We want to be full-time content creators. We want to be full-time videographers, gaming, streaming, you know. So for us, what happens after 5 is more important.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where we're more passionate.
Exactly.
So that's where we have to tap in, and that's where it matters the most in our lives. But honestly, some days it's hard. It's hard to tap into it after you worked a full 8-hour shift, maybe even more because of travel and shit like that. And then I work out after work too. So I don't get home till like 8 p.m. And I have to eat and, you know, make my food and all this shit. And I still have to find time to edit the podcast, find time to, you know, come up with questions and edit my own personal work. So it's hard. It's hard.
It is hard. And, you know, like, you know, bringing up the, you know, it being a long day, sometimes I'll be like, I'll get home and I'm fucking drained, and what I'll do is Rachel knows this, I'll go crash in bed for like 30 minutes to an hour before I get up, because I'm like, you know, I need a fucking little nap before I stream or before I edit or whatever. You know, so sleep is definitely being sacrificed for sure. And then, you know, on top of that, we editing the podcast or whatever. Now, you know, since I've been streaming every fucking day. So it's tiring. You know, I've been streaming every day, I think, since last month or something. So it gets tiring for sure. But and then also finding that time to edit the podcast.
Upload on social media.
Oh my God, it's fucking tiring. Because literally every day I upload on social media. So what I'll typically do, like my regular thing is, after my long 8 hour, I'll probably say 10-hour day, because driving to work is almost an hour, and then coming home is almost an hour. You know, I'll say 10-hour day. I'll go home, upload on social media. If I'm tired, I'm gonna go take a nap first, like 30-minute to an hour nap. Wake up, I'll go stream, set up my stream, or go eat first and then stream, and then I'll stream for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. I'm like, fuck, I wish I can stream longer, because the longer you stream, the more you get. The more viewers you get. So sometimes it's just hard. I can't get to that point. But and then, of course, when I know we got our podcast, I got to sacrifice one of those streaming days to actually edit. So it's either, you know, like Monday and Tuesday I'll stream, Wednesday will be an editing day, and then Thursday and Friday I stream again, you know, and stuff like that. So literally it's just about finding time, sacrificing your sleep and all that. And you know, that's why some days I'm like, fuck, like I just want to stay home and relax and stay in bed.
You gotta have those breaks.
You gotta have those breaks, you know. But you also are thinking about success.
Right.
Your mental health is more important, obviously. And I know this because I've gone through creative burnouts. I've already gone through my health issue. So I know, like, you know, your mental health and your health is more important. But and then there's also that where you're like, fuck, like I'm trying to work hard. So it's really, it definitely is a sacrifice.
And you have to change your mindset too, because you have to think to yourself, are you being lazy? Or are you listening to your body.
Exactly. Exactly.
And are you actually taking this rest day because you need it? Or are you being lazy and because you're just being lazy?
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
So you really have to kind of snap out of the lazy mindset because that's who we were in Seattle.
That is.
So in order to pursue what we are now and who we want to become, we gotta change our mindset. And one thing I want to bring up is when you were like doing your health problems, vitamin D deficiency, but you still tried to persevere into the streaming, and because you were so passionate about it, like you just went and stream, even though like you don't know how it's gonna turn out as your health. You're so passionate about what you do that you just persevered.
And that's what I think, that's what it's about. Like literally, I never look at it that way. I know
because it's normal to you.
It's normal for me. So when somebody tells me that shit, I'm like, wow, like I never knew you noticed it that way. Or like for me, I'm like, fuck, I'm not doing what I should be. But people are seeing the work. Going back on people will notice you. They will notice the work. They will notice that you post every day. Like me posting my photography, me posting my gaming streams, us posting the artistry drop, that's a lot of shit. So they know that I'm putting in that work. And then I got a full-time job. I've talked about my full-time job before. So I know people notice, but I think us as a person, we don't notice it.
It's because it's normal to us.
It's normal to us. So, it's like, damn, I'm not doing enough.
Right, exactly. But especially compared to other people that we meet, we feel like we're never doing enough.
We're never doing enough. But to other people that view us on social media, I guarantee you, they're like, damn, they're doing a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
How are they able to do this? That that's one thing I definitely appreciate is people recognizing the hard work that we put into, even though we got all this other shit going.
Exactly.
And that's what makes, I think, us, our sacrificing and our time and our sleep is, it makes it rewarding. It's a rewarding feeling. But then it's draining. It's fucking draining. It is. That's the thing. It
is. You need a vacation. You need some time offline.
Yes,
for sure. So definitely. Like we're talking about sacrifices, but also like prioritize your mental health. Everybody has like a different limit of like how you can. How much you can push your body towards. So you gotta honestly like listen to your body as well, but also like don't be lazy.
Don't be lazy, especially if you're out here in LA, guys. Like if you move from New York, from Seattle, from Florida, whatever, if you moved out here and then you're just partying now, like I'm sure low key they're probably working in they work in silence, and that's another important thing. It's like working in silence, like the work is going to pay off eventually because they were so low key, and then when they got something that turns them into a success, they're like, oh shit, like okay, they were working in silence. I guess for us, we're not working in silence
because we post every day.
We post every day, and they see what we're doing, so they already know we're putting in the work. But it's dope still knowing that there are people that are posting but not posting what they're doing because they are working in silence and they get that success.
We're
and
all then they come out with something big.
Who knows? But yeah, like I said, it's just one of those things, guys. Sacrificing is important, I feel like, to get where you need to. And, sometimes I don't think about how much I've sacrificed. And I told John, like, talking about this topic, it's hard because I feel like I haven't sacrificed enough. But, after you've I was like, damn, okay, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, because he's always had that mentality that he doesn't really realize what he had to like persevere to get to where he is now. But I've seen it because I've lived with him, I've worked with him, so I knew this topic would be good. And by me pointing out certain things, because this is normal to him. This is like normal, so he doesn't really realize it. But like, this is a good topic for sure.
I appreciate you, bro. I love you. Like, I appreciate
Let's
that.
Go.
Another thing I want to talk about is sacrificing, like getting a lower job pay just to have a job, because obviously moving out here to LA, I was looking for a job. I wasn't trying to move out here jobless. We needed, John already knew too, he needed to have a job out here. We couldn't be like some of those people where they come out here with like $1,000 and then hope you get a job. I wasn't trying to do that shit.
Exactly.
I was already trying to have a job on the table. So when I moved down here, everything is there for me. Like we can live fine and all that, but COVID hit. And we literally moved out here 4 or 5 months before COVID hit. And that's where things kind of went to shit. So, you know, I moved out here with a great paying job. You know, they were paying me good. It was a fun job. I was videographer, photographer for a women's legging brand, and it was going great. COVID hit. What happens, guys? Everybody's on unemployment.
Exactly.
You're behind on bills and all that shit, and you know, it just sucked. And then about a year later, you know, I finally landed a new job, and I loved that job. It was with the Oscars, the Academy. All you guys should know this. When you say, "Oh, I should have get an Oscar for it," or yes, guys, I work for the Oscars, so it was a great job. I loved it, but the only issue was it was a lower paying job, and I sacrificed getting that lower paying job to be able to work in the film industry.
Exactly.
You know, that was my first film industry job, where I was like, damn, I've made it. I made it in the film industry, and unfortunately, that was more of a contract job, and it was a year contract, but they extended me for another year, which was fine, you know? So I worked in the film industry for technically 2 years. It was fun. I met a lot of people, met some celebrities and stuff like that. And, you know, it was really cool being in that industry and seeing how things work behind the scenes, you know? I worked on the media team, so our area was the Academy Museum. Big shout out to the Academy Museum and my family over there. Love y'all. Definitely check it out if you're here in LA. Majority of the things that you'll see in there I actually worked on. So a lot of editing and a lot of archiving. A lot of the stuff you'll see in that museum I worked on already. So it's really cool. And not to mention my name's in a fucking book.
Yeah, I know.
Like I couldn't believe it. Like I knew they had mentioned that I was you know, they were getting everybody that worked on this what was it? Exhibit. Everybody that was working on Exhibit was gonna have their name there, but I didn't realize it was gonna be in a book. I thought it was gonna be like on a sheet of paper or something like that, where you know you get recognition. But then later on they were like, oh, it's going in the new book. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? So you know, when mom and dad were here last year, they finally released the book, and I was going through it. I was like, oh fuck, I don't see my name. So then I go through it again. I was like, oh fuck, my name is actually there. I'm in a fucking book.
That's so
you know?
dope.
Yeah, it was really cool. You know, so. You know, it's a really cool feeling that I did sacrifice getting a lower paying job to be able to do something like this, and I loved it. You know, even though it was lower paying, and I'm no longer with them right now. You know, but it was a great job. I'll never forget. I met a lot of awesome people there and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's probably where I'm going to be at this year too, because I'm really trying to leave the medical field. If you guys haven't known already, I've been in the medical field like almost 10 years now, and you know, luckily I was able to move down and transfer into the medical field down here. So I actually moved before Corey did, and I was able to land a job down here working in the ER of St. John's and stuff like that. And but this year, as one of my goals, if you guys haven't already seen our goals for 2024, is like leaving the medical field and actually doing like content creation or like videographer, photographer position. So for me, like I'm most likely gonna have to take a lower paying job just because I am new to the space. Not as far as like experience level, but as far as like working with the company, I mean, I've worked with brands before, but like some companies don't really consider freelance as like actual work, as far as like working with a big company and things like that. So I might have to take a lower pay, and I've been, you know, applying to some jobs as well. So don't be afraid to sacrifice, you know, the money to do what you love, because in the end, that's just a building block to the bigger picture. You know, of course, once you start, you can't expect to get paid right off the bat at a high paying standard, but you do need to get paid a little bit of what you're worth and like what you can afford as far as bills and stuff like that. Don't be like dumb in that aspect, but like, yeah, I'm most likely gonna have to take a lower pay, take a cut, and then I know eventually like it'll lead to a bigger paying salary. So like,
yeah, no, exactly. I liked exactly how you put it. You know, it was good. And like I said, you know, sacrificing, it may sound like a lot, but I'm going to go kind of back on us sacrificing from the beginning, because this kind of just popped up in my head. But, you know, us sacrificing just in general moving. Because we both didn't know how it was going to be out here. So, you know, like just moving out here in LA in general could have gone good or it could have gone bad.
Yeah.
I've known people that will move to a different state and then move back in with their family like a year later because things didn't go as good as they thought. You know, so I'm glad. We've almost been here 5 years in LA, and it's fucking crazy, and we've been good. You know, we've been through ups and downs, but we've been able to get back in place and, you know, be able to, you know, me and you, we support each other, and now I got a family to support, and, you know, it's awesome. Like, I never would have thought things would go in this fashion moving down here in LA, but I'm glad the sacrifice that we made to move down here is going exactly how I hoped it would be. Because some people just don't have that success.
Yeah, and they move down here for like the fame or the vision that they're gonna blow up magically. So they come down here with a budget that they saved before they moved, but they don't have a job yet. So they just magically think they're gonna make it in the 3 or 4 months, and then they have to move back. You know, when I went back home, you know, unfortunately for a funeral, you know, a lot of my family members were like, wow, you're still there, and it's been like over a year, you know, congrats, because I have friends who like moved down there and they had to move back within 3 months, you know, so yeah, I'm proud of us, man, you know, and a lot of people are not really willing to talk about, like, you do need a 9 to 5 because LA is expensive.
It's a fucking
so
expensive.
If you move down here without a job already in place, you're gonna have to move back within the first year, most likely. You know, things are not just gonna magically pop off because you're in a new city of LA, you're in Hollywood. So be smart about how you move and be realistic, you know. And
no, I mean, I totally agree. I definitely feel like it's one of those things, and I've watched so many stories on YouTube before we were even moving down. I was watching people, you know, on their point of view of moving down here. Majority of the videos I watch is literally like, I moved down here with like $10,000 and, you know, I started applying for jobs. I did not want to go that route whatsoever. I did not want to. Yeah, it's a risk, and that's a big sacrifice. But you know, I still made a sacrifice moving down here, knowing that I had a job. But it was still like, even though I had a job, you just don't know how it's gonna go. Like, you can have a great job down here, but what if you get fired in the next few months? Which is what happened with me. I didn't get fired. I got laid off because of COVID. But in the back of my mind, I was like, fuck, like, okay, where am I going to get a job now? This job is literally what helped me move down here to LA. Like, what am I going to do now? Unemployment checks helped a lot because that was a lot of money, but I was behind on bills, you know, so luckily, you know, COVID relief, you know, they helped a lot and helped us get into situated, you know, helped us, and you know, I was able to get back on my feet because, like I said, you know, we were only here 4 or 5 months before COVID hit. There was no money making from any content creation whatsoever. It was literally our 9 to 5s. So, you know, I wasn't really pulling in money to be able to support paying those bills. That 9 to 5 is what supports those bills. So, you know, it did kind of suck that I lost that job. Fortunately for John, you know, he still had his, but he was able to work from home and stuff like that. But yeah, guys, it's fucking crazy, you know, like, you never know where life is going to take you. You never know how things are going to go. But I told this to John before we moved down here, was like, what if you move down here but shit goes as planned? You just never know. If you didn't move down here, you never know how it would have gone for you. And that's why I told him. I was like, you know, you gotta fucking move with me. Yeah,
and that's what, like, honestly, why I pulled the trigger. You know, if you guys don't know, if you guys haven't seen it on the previous podcast, you know, I was really comfortable where I was. You know, I moved a lot as a kid. So being in Seattle, my hometown, you know, moving back there from Fresno, California, is like, I was like, you know, I'm good. Like, I like being here. I like being stable and things like that. But then in the back of my mind, I also thought about, like, what if, like, I'm in my 50s and I look back and I'm like, damn, I should have moved with Corey just to try it. So for me, like, I knew I might have regretted it like 30 years later. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try it. If anything, I could move back with my family, things will be good. But also, you know, I don't know what the future might hold, and I'm glad I made the move. And the sacrifices that were made, you know, needed to be made, because I wouldn't have been here without those sacrifices. And you know, I never look back moving forward now.
Yeah, one thing I know, I told your mom too, and I promised her, I was like, don't worry, I got your son, you know, like, I'm I'm gonna support him in everything that he does. You know, I'm gonna help him. I'm gonna be here for him. And that's one thing I literally said to her before we moved down here. That was when we were packing up the truck. Yeah. Because she was worried. You know, your mom was worried about you and stuff. And I told her, you know, I told her, don't worry. You know, I got your son, and you know he's gonna be fine. You know, we're gonna support each other down here. And look, we're fucking fine. You know, I said on my word. Obviously, we moved out of here now because you know me and Rachel are starting a family. But I feel like, you know,
we're still good though.
Yeah, the 4 years that me and John were living together, we've been great. You know, like we supported each other in everything we did. And, you know, I also helped try to set him right. And look what he's doing now. You know, he's off doing his other things, which I hoped he would, because it's great, you know, like when you also do your own stuff. Obviously, I love bringing him to shoots and all that stuff, but you also have to work on your own stuff to get to a certain point where you are, because it's like if we're just following each other to different things, you're not growing as yourself, right? Exactly. So you're kind of, I don't want to put this in a bad way, but it's like you're in a shadow of me. Exactly. Because and then you're just my assistant director every single time. Exactly. At least if you grow on your own, you're growing as yourself. You're growing your own brand, and now you got your business going, you know, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And, you know, like I said, you know, it's good where you finally are heading. And
hell yeah,
Mom, like I said, I got your son, and I'm still here. He's my brother. He's my best friend. So don't worry. We're still here supporting each other. My last thing I want to talk about sacrificing was driving to my new job. For those that don't know, I got a new job in marketing. I'm not a marketer or anything like that, but that's where they put me in, is marketing. And it's being the full-time videographer and photographer for their e-commerce brand. So we have multiple brands in this branch. We have probably like 4 or 5 different brands, and I'm the videographer, photographer for each brand. So as you know, like that's a lot of work. Right now we're going from one brand, and now this whole year we're going to be focusing on another brand and then another brand, and new brands are popping up, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like what the hell is happening? So, you know, I'm going to be busy a lot, but you know, this pays the bills. I'm getting paid very good. And
but it also challenges your skill.
It does.
Yeah, because you're not used to doing all that.
I'm not used to doing this shit. You know, like I'm used to coming from music videos and cinematic portraits and all this shit. So this is a whole new like realm for me. You know, it's a whole new realm. I've always wanted to do like product photography, and I did when I first moved down here, you know, doing the women's legging brands, but I felt I had more control on that end because it was just me and my boss. Literally, it was just me and my boss. But now I'm a part of a marketing team, and now we all, you know, like once a week we'll sit down and have like 4 or 5 hour meetings, talk about what we want to do for this brand or what kind of content we want to create and stuff like that. So it's a lot more planned, and I feel I'm happy I'm part of a team like this because it's more planned out versus when the first job I got, it was barely planned out. It was just me pitching ideas. Oh yeah, go shoot. That'll be cool. Versus this, we'll sit down 4 or 5 hours and talk about ideas, and no, that's not gonna work. Oh, that's a good idea, blah, blah, you know. So I feel like I'm more a part of a team now, and you know, we're able to execute these things as a team instead of just me running with it and shooting content for no reason, you know. It's a sacrifice for me moving to this job, or I mean going to this job, because it's a fucking long ass drive, guys. So
but even on your first job, you used to drive all the way fucking
Chino.
To Chino.
It's almost the same. It's almost, but I would say it's farther now. So for living here in LA, for those that don't know, me and Rachel, we got our own place in Long Beach now. So we unfortunately moved from our place here with John in LA to Long Beach. So now my drive is a lot further. So if I was going from here, because I had the job already from here, so it would only take me 25 minutes. Now it's doubled since moving in Long Beach. So it takes me almost an hour to get to work. So I feel like that's a big sacrifice because a lot of people, even at work, they're like, damn, I don't know how you do it. I was well, I got to do what I got to do to pay the bills, right? So, you know, like I said, I'm getting paid great. I'm fine with it. It's tiring, and that's why I said it's a 10-hour day instead of an 8-hour day, because driving to work takes an hour, and then coming home takes an hour. So,
but not only driving to work, you also go to like different locations.
Oh for content creation. So, you know, when we sit down and do these meetings, it's literally like, where are we going to shoot? Are we going to shoot in the area? Are we going to shoot in LA? Like, where do we want to shoot? So, you know, this past content creation day, I shot all in LA pretty much. You know, because obviously LA is where it's at. This is the best place to shoot content. Where my job is, it's in City of Industry, and that's where majority of it's industrial areas. So a lot of companies live out there, a lot of warehouses, a lot of your favorite people, like brands that you buy from are out there as well. So like City of Industry is not far. It's probably like 20 minutes from LA. 20 minutes from LA, about 40 minutes from Long Beach. Yeah, you know, so it's not too bad, but that's why, you know, it's still a sacrifice for me to drive to the job, because it's a fucking long ass day, and everybody knows California traffic or LA traffic is the worst. And yes, guys, it is. That's one thing I have to complain about is I think that's traffic. Another sacrifice for us is sitting in LA traffic. I've watched a video of people leaving LA because of the traffic. And they're like, damn, like just because of that. I love LA. I love being here. I love the vibe. I love how much stuff there is out here, because we've never really experienced it back home in Seattle. I feel like back in Seattle, we're secluded to the same thing every single day. We're doing the same shit every day. Hey, you want to go downtown? All right, cool. You want to go downtown? All right, cool. Like, that's all you can do.
No, it is a big sacrifice, because, like, that was one of the things why I didn't want to move to LA, because I knew the traffic, and already being in 5 o'clock traffic back home in Seattle. So Seattle, they only have, like, traffic maybe at 4 p.m. to, like, maybe 7, but after that is no traffic.
Yeah, facts.
You know, around that area. Or, like, you know, early in the morning, like maybe like 7 a.m. to like 9 a.m. there might be traffic. But I hated being in traffic, and driving and all this shit. So I was just like, moving to LA, I already knew I was gonna hate the traffic. So that was one of the things why I didn't want to move. But that was a sacrifice I was willing to take. Is like you said, you know, you have to, you know, sacrifice it, because not only the travel, but like here in LA is where the opportunity lies in. So you have to be able to sacrifice the travel, the time. You know, you have to plan out your day because of the traffic. You know, and you have to really sacrifice that aspect in order to get the opportunities that you know you deserve. So like, yeah, that is a big sacrifice, is driving. It is time spent.
And you know, like I said, you know, I think both me and John in general have made huge sacrifices just coming to LA to pursue our dream. And I'm glad we did, because, you know, if we didn't, who know where the hell I don't want to say something, because I don't want to put it out there like that, but I'm just saying, like,
we wouldn't have been where we at now.
Yeah, we definitely would not be where we're at right now. Like, artistry drop would not be a thing. We would not have these amazing guests and dope people come on the show. And I'm so thankful. I'm so happy that, you know, we made this sacrifice, and you know, we're popping off.
Hell yeah.
We're on our way to popping off.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the year this year, 2024.
For sure. So you know, we're gonna be talking about some hometown stuff, and you know, leaving your hometown. If you're thinking about moving to LA or wherever you're trying to move to, you know, these are definitely some of our tips and some of things that we've experienced. But I'll let John start off.
Hell yeah. So like, leaving your hometown, you know, like Seattle, we grew up in many years, and you know, a lot of people who we grew around is really like, you know, small-minded, you know, closed-minded. You know, they don't see like the bigger picture. So, you know, moving out of your hometown really helps you like keep accountable for your actions. Honestly, like if I was back home in Seattle, I would be still doing the same thing. You know, every time I go and visit Seattle for the holidays, I visit my friends and I see what they're doing. They're still doing the same things that they did 4 years ago when I moved here. So, you know, it's really comfortable. And, you know, some people, I'm not going to knock on them, because some people are really happy being comfortable doing the same thing. So, you know, it's how you want to live your life. But as a creative, you limit yourself in your hometown, you know. So really moving out of your city, and for me, moving out to LA really helped me be accountable for my actions, because I spent all this money, I spent all this time moving to a different city. How am I not going to do the things that I said I was going to do? If I moved out here just to do the same things that I was doing in Seattle and being part of the party life, hanging out with friends every single weekend, you know, why did I even spend that time or moved in the first place. So moving to LA really helps me be accountable for what I do and really hold me to my purpose, because I made that big change and made that big shift, not only physically to a new area, but also I need to hold myself accountable on what it takes to change my mindset and be there also, like, mentally. How has, you know, moving to LA like held you accountable for what you do as well?
Like accountable as in like
for me, it helps me, like, moving to LA really like keeps me responsible. Like, I know I moved to a different area, so I need to be more on top of my priorities.
No, okay. I feel what you're saying. I would definitely say like LA changed me for sure, because coming from a place where you live with your family and all that shit, and you're out here living on your own, like, you're held accountable on your own. You're not held accountable by your family or bills and all that shit. Like, you know, you're on your own pretty much. So I would definitely say leaving your hometown, it's all on you. Like, your family, if you're fortunate enough and your family's like fucking rich, they're gonna help you.
Exactly.
But we don't come from a family that can support us like that. You know, we have a family that supports us morally. You know, they're there always to push us and stuff like that. But financially, we just don't have that.
Yeah, we're on our own.
Yeah, we're on our own. So, you know, moving out here to a place where, you know, we're financially on our own and stuff like that, it definitely holds you accountable, because it's like you got to make sure you're not spending too much. You got to make sure you're not like going out and partying too much and then you're fucking broke the next day or whatever like that. So, you know, we're definitely held accountable for that, and that's our own actions. It's like, oh, you want to go out and party? Yeah, let's fucking go. Next day, you look at your bank, oh, fuck, zero? What the fuck did I do? Like,
I can't even pay the rent.
Yeah, I can't pay the rent, you know? So it's like, that's where at that point where you're held accountable. So I think also learning your spending habits and all that, you know, that's definitely on you, and that's one thing you have to practice. I know for me, I'm definitely a spender. John knows this too. I've spent.
Bro, when we lived together, it was Amazon packages every day. Either from him or from me. There was packages on packages.
Yes, there was. And, you know, like, that's one thing you definitely have to practice on. And, you know, coming from a job where I was making less, but now I'm making more, you know, obviously, but it's still, now I got a fucking family to support. I can't be doing that. You know, so that's, I'm just putting as a point, like, you're going to hold yourself accountable if you're spending more than what you should, and you don't make enough to support yourself.
Exactly.
So
no, and I'm glad you mentioned family, because that goes into like my next topic about, like, you know, moving to LA has definitely also made me reflect on myself and my actions. You know, like you said, with your spending habits, it also for me, it also made me reflect on, like, holding myself accountable as far as, like, I can't blame somebody else for what I'm doing, you know, because obviously, you know, you already know this, like, I have had a lot of family issues, like, back home in Seattle. And at that moment, I was also, it was real problems, but also I was also deflecting my family issues and not really holding myself accountable for my own actions. You know, so I always blamed my family for the reason why is stunning my growth as a creative, as career and stuff like that. But really moving to LA, I don't have my family to, you know, blame on, you know, and pull that card. Oh, I'm going through some family issues. Now that I'm in LA, I can hold myself accountable as far as, like, you know, I need to do what I said I'm going to do, because I don't have my family. I don't have anybody else. Like, I can really be the best version of myself as well, because, you know, I don't have that sense of baggage, I would say, at the time, you know, to deflect on them. Now it's really just me. So I have no excuse to cut corners, to, you know, to not do what I said I was going to do, because now I don't have those issues anymore. It's just me and the mirror. Like, it's me and myself. So now, like, it's 100%. I'm going full throttle, and, you know, I am definitely proud and inspiring inspiring, but I'm going the path that I said I wanted to take, and I have nothing holding me back. So
facts.
yeah,
facts. Exactly, agree with everything that you said.
Yeah, so and also moving to LA, I mentioned this many times how I was very introverted, back at home, and then also doing shoots. I got a little bit out of my shell, a little bit doing more shoots with models back in Seattle and things like that. But it wasn't until I moved to LA where I really became a little bit more, extroverted. I still have my introverted moments where I just want to stay home, play video games, edit, and things like that. I'm definitely a homebody. But moving to a whole different city is going to demand a different side of you. And for me, I gain confidence not only within myself, but within my skills of videography, photography, and especially branching off from art projects, because we used to do everything together. And like you mentioned, I definitely felt like I was in his shadow, I was his apprentice. But when am I gonna build my own thing? When am I gonna gain the confidence to branch out and brand myself as my own? So really 2023 was definitely a big year for me of gaining that confidence and believing in myself that I could really do it on my own. And honestly, it does demand an extroverted side of me, because I have to talk with the client, I have to talk with these brands, I have to make sure I'm paid what I'm worth, and that takes an extroverted personality. Introverted personality would just go with the flow, take what's presented and not pave the way of who they want to be, and that takes an extroverted person. And honestly, it's been a big change, and if I didn't move out of Seattle, I would have been in the same place, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm always the extroverted person, and
hell yeah.
knowing John, knowing John, he's always been the introvert, no joke. Even before moving to Seattle, we had known each other almost 8 years. 8 years? 7 years or something like that. Years, yeah. But knowing John, he has always been not around me, obviously. That's my brother, that's my best friend. So we've always been good. But whenever we would go out or I introduce him to somebody new, he's definitely introverted, and I've told him this. I'm like, bro, you gotta stop being introverted. You gotta start talking, especially on shoots, right. It was definitely one of those things. I had to have a talk with him, and we have talks all the time, we'll talk about certain things here and there. We'll sit down and stuff like that. But that was just one of the things before moving out here to LA and stuff like that. I talked to him about. I was like, bro, you gotta kind of talk a little bit more, exactly. It wasn't anything cringy. It was just a natural introverted thing. Right. And I know where he's coming from, because I used to be introverted myself, coming, and I've told you this, I used to be introverted myself, before high school. I was super introverted. I was super shy. I never had a girlfriend. Fat. I was fucking fat. I'm bigger than I am now. I definitely gained some weight because of we got our baby coming in. Rachel keeps feeding me this great food and stuff like that, so I gained more weight. But other than that, like I said, it's one of the things. Being extroverted will take you places. Right. It'll take you more places. Exactly. You gotta actually talk to people. You gotta put yourself out there. You gotta put yourself out there, and if you don't, you're not gonna go anywhere. Literally. And this is what I talked to John about, especially before moving here to LA. I was like, bro, you definitely have to try to put yourself out there as well. But even in general, when I would take him on shoots, I was like, bro, you gotta be more conversative with the models and stuff like that. You have to talk to them more, because if you don't, it's things are going to be a little bit more awkward between you and the model and stuff like that. And if you don't step up, it's going to continue being that way. Right. So, I'm glad to see John grow and get more extroverted. I do know he definitely has that introverted side still to him, which is fine. And I know some people are like that. I also like being at home, but then I also feel like when I'm at home too long, I'm like, I want to get fucking out of here. I want to get out and do something.
No, I have those moments.
Yeah, it's either if I want to just go to the mall or whatever, I do want to get out. But like I said, being an extrovert is amazing because it will take you to new places.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you just never know where it's gonna take you.
Exactly.
And you know, I don't know how it is with you. Like for me, I always I'll like, especially at a store, I'll walk up to a random person and be like, hey, where do I find this? Some people are scared, like, no, you go ask. I'm like, okay, fuck, I'll go ask, you know. So
I asked if I really need something, but I'll definitely like try to find it myself first.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if I can't find it on my own, then I'll go ask.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, like when I go shopping, maybe this is my introverted side too. I have my headphones on. I'm like in my zone.
Yeah, you know what, guys? It was funny. So this was funny. Me and Rachel, for those that don't know, Winco is a very popular grocery spot back home in Seattle.
Yeah.
A lot of people here in California, for some reason, don't know about it. Rachel's never known about Winco. I introduced her to Winco. Every time I bring up Winco to somebody here, they've never heard of it.
Same.
So I was like, what the fuck? Like, Winco
same.
is very popular back home. That's where I always get my groceries. And I know John used to get it too because it was literally just almost down the street from him.
Right.
But anyways, me and Rachel were shopping at Winco and on a Sunday, I think. And then we come into John and he got both of his headphones in. And I was like, what the fuck? Damn. But you know what? Not to, there are other people I've noticed when they shop, they'll have earphones in.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, that's just not a thing, I guess. Like, I want to be aware of my surroundings.
Yeah.
But I understand, like, if maybe that is an introverted thing, like where, if you're shopping or you don't want to be bothered by somebody, you pop in those earbuds. So I definitely want to know, like, if you guys are listening to this episode, please drop a comment, because how do you guys shop? Like, if you're an introvert, do you pop in earbuds? Do you listen to music, or do you leave those earbuds out? Because like I said, for me, I'd prefer knowing what's going on. Like, if somebody is fucking running behind me and it's trying to rob me, I'd rather know. So
no, that's recently I've been like having the earphones on, but I put the transparency mode, like turn off the noise canceling so I can hear what's going on, and my music is not that loud. Because some people like do say excuse me, or they're trying to get by you, or like, and some people do randomly talk to you. I've talked to some like old ladies at Winco, and they're just like making conversation, and I'm just like, oh, okay, especially when I pick up certain items like sweet potatoes. They're like, oh, what are you gonna make with sweet potatoes? Because not a lot of people buy sweet potatoes. So it's just like little things like that. But little tangent. But going back into the topic, leaving your hometown really does like show you your like strengths and weaknesses. Especially like living with a roommate. Me and Corey has many talks about like our bad habits and like things that you live with your family that you don't really, it's become normal to you and your family, but when you live with somebody else who grew up with a whole different family, some things are not normal. Like a simple example is like toilet paper, is it under or is it over? Like little things like that. So that's just one example, but also like mentality wise, it does show you like what you're good at and what you're not good at and what things you need to work on, because when you're on your own, there is a lot of time to reflect on yourself. With your family and everything, you're just like kind of going with the flow, but being on your own, like, you do have a lot of alone time, so you do have to reflect and really work on those things that you realize is a weakness and things like that. And then also my next topic is learning to navigate in a new city, whether that's physically within like GPS, navigating, because LA, like, I've got lost so many times on using GPS because the fucking like freeway says something else, but then when I'm looking at the actual map is actually going straight, then like curving like to the right or left. So we've got lost like so many times just using GPS and like knowing streets and things like that. So navigating through a new city is like a whole different beast, but also like being a people person and knowing how to navigate through people, because one thing that we've talked about and we were warned before moving to LA is like about the fake people. Honestly, we haven't been seeing or meeting that many fake people that we hear and we're warned about before we move down. But being a people person, being able to navigate, having new connections, old connections, and learning how the city works and knowing how like people, because a lot of people in LA are not born and raised here. They're like moved from a different area, moved from a different city. So it's really like a melting pot, and you really have to navigate, and in order to be successful, especially like in LA.
For sure.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, navigating a new city, it's a lot different. Like, we come from a city where we're used to, and there's not a lot of weird shit. And we've talked about a lot of the weird shit here in LA, and there's a lot of weird shit, guys. Like, I mean, we'll say it again. We've seen naked people running around. We've seen
broken car parts on freeways.
Yeah, like the freeways are just fucking a mess compared to Seattle. Seattle is fucking clean, guys.
Yeah.
Like, no joke. I won't lie, the homeless population has definitely risen in Seattle, which is terrible because we've never seen it that bad before. Right. I think the homeless population got bad once we moved here to LA.
Yeah.
It was never bad before, which is crazy. So I think after COVID, that's when things kind of changed. And I was hearing some weird bad shit, like states were sending homeless population to other states.
Oh shit.
So I don't know, maybe LA sent homeless population to Seattle or whatever. And comment below if you guys know about this, but this is what I heard from different outlets and stuff like that. And it's fucking weird to me that people would just literally send other homeless to other states. And I understand maybe it's because LA
overpopulated.
It's overpopulated, so you got to send it to a less populated place, which that's still fucked up to me. Like, why the fuck would you do that?
Instead of provide them the home, they're just gonna send them to a different city.
Exactly. Send them, like, provide food for them, provide whatever, try to help them get off the streets instead of sending them to another. Yeah, like sending them off to another state to stay on the streets. Like, I think. That's definitely another trending topic to talk about is the homeless population. We're not going to talk about that because we don't do that here. But, just knowing that's how it is and how it's going, I think it's totally fucked up. Like, people are just shipping homeless people to different states to put them back on the streets because their population is overpopulated. So, I mean... that's how it is. That's how government works or whatever. I don't fully understand it. But yeah, going back into the topic, getting to know your new city is very hard. I feel like me and John in general have not even visited
a lot of shit.
Barely 25% of what LA has to offer. We were talking about like, oh shit, I can't wait to go here, go there, blah, blah, blah. We have barely even visited there. Like, I feel like we've only visited like 3% or maybe 5% of what LA and California has to offer in general.
Yeah, facts.
Not much, because if anything, we tend to go to the same kind of spots or whatever. So we haven't ventured out and gone to other new spots. But, that's what I'd say is like, another thing is getting used to the city, finding new areas, going, because once you get used to a spot, you want to keep going back there, and that's how I am.
Fire
it's like,
nice.
Yeah, fire nice. Like once you know a spot, you want to go back there. But it is also good to try to experience new places and venture out. But it's so hard because once you found a spot and it's so fucking good, you want to keep going back.
Exactly.
And that's what it is for me at least. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like, you got to explore your city, of course, but it's also very difficult to like adjust as well. Adjusting to a new environment. We came from like really cold, fresh air type of environment. Now it's like super dry. It caused a lot of our acne, dry skin and shit like that. Just
breathing problems. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, LA air is terrible.
Yeah,
LA air is terrible
it is
compared to Seattle.
Yeah, so it's just crazy. You got to learn how to navigate and be able to adapt to a new city, and it not only causes like physical change but also mental change.
For sure.
So what do you have to say about like leaving your hometown and everything?
So I mean, definitely one thing that was hard for me was leaving my family behind, and I know this is hard for you too. We're both leaving our families behind, moving to a new city together, and venturing out.
Facts.
And I only get to see my family once a year. I know John is almost the same, once or twice a year, if anything, and we only get to go home once or twice a year, and it sucks, And I wish it was more, obviously, but you know, when you're out here on the grind, LA is such a fast-paced city. You only think about the grind. Right. You know, you got work, and especially when you have a full-time job like us, you go based off of your vacation or PTO hours. So if you don't have enough, you can't go back home. Like, what are you to do? You know, you either go home and you don't get paid for it, or you go home and you get paid for it if you have those vacation hours. So, you know, leaving your family behind and everything not in the past, but just leaving everything back home, it's hard. And I miss Seattle. I love Seattle. Seattle's my hometown. Grew up or born and raised there. And, you know, it's hard to not go back home. And it sucks when I can't go back home all the time that I want to and see my family and just see the city. Yeah. You know, so that's one thing I know for sure. What about you?
Yeah, facts. Like I'm glad you mentioned leaving your family behind, because that's definitely, you know, was the most hardest thing for me, was to leave my family behind. You know, if you guys don't know, my dad, you know, he has MS, multiple sclerosis, so, you know, it's uncurable, and I really had to think about, like, you know, my family like needs me, like financially, physically, emotionally, and you know, I've been there for them for years. You know, I won't like, you know, talk about all the family drama that we've had, but they really depended on me to stay there. So after so many years of them depending on me, you know, I really had to tell when I decided to move to LA, like I really had to have many talks and about like to prepare my family for me to leave, because financially and, you know, physically, emotionally, they had to prepare for me to leave and be able to survive on their own. So family was one of the number one reasons why I didn't want to move, but I knew I needed to move, and I realized that like by me moving also will help them in the long run. If I'm not able to focus on myself while I can, I won't be able to give back to my family in the future. So for me, like I thought like 2 or 3 steps ahead, and I was like, you know, if I do this now, while I can give back to them in the future. And that's why, you know, I moved, and that's why I made the jump, and I don't regret it from here on out.
Let's go. I totally agree. You know, my next thing about leaving hometown is learning to live on your own. So, you know, being out in a new city and being on your own. I mean, I wasn't alone. I had John, obviously, but, you know, you're on your own for the first time. You know, I had always lived with my family and stuff like that. So it was just one of those things where you had to learn to live on your own, clean, pay bills, all that shit. Like, you know, I've never done that shit, but it's a lot of growing up. It's a lot of growing up. And, you know, I think it's good going on your own and figuring out that shit, because that literally turns you into an adult. If you're living with your family for multiple years, I feel like you don't learn that lesson. You know, you do need to know how it is being on your own, how to grow up, being an adult and stuff like that. And this is the best way, I would say, teaches you. I'm not saying, hey, go fucking live on your own if you can, but if you can and you're capable, get out of your parents' home, go live on your own, get an apartment, even if it's in the same state, just go live in a different city. Go live in a different city in the same state and see how it is. You know, it's not easy, it's not hard, but I think it's a great lesson on how to teach yourself to learn to live on your own, because everybody needs to learn how to live on your own. If you're not, you're always going to go back to your parents. You're going to be sleeping in their basement or whatever, like you see in the movies and stuff like that, and you're just not going to go anywhere, guys.
Yeah, because when you move on your own, you definitely realize that, like, you know, how much of a handicap or crutch you had on your parents. Because, you know, you had your parents do everything for you, you know, whether or not it's financially, but it's also physically. You know, I came from, you know, a very middle class or maybe like lower class family. So, you know, I didn't get any financial support, but after leaving, I realized that like I had a mom that cooked every fucking day, you know, and she cooked different meals for everybody in the family because they liked different things. So I was very spoiled in that aspect, where I came home, I always had food, you know, and things like that. And, you know, you take those things for granted, you know, when you're actually there. And it's not until you move for you to really realize that, like, how much of a blessing you had back at home. And it does make you grow as a person, and financially and, you know, physically as well.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. You know, the next thing I want to talk about is socializing. And when you move to a new city, you have to socialize. You have to network because I think that's your goal. Like when you move to another city, you're hoping to socialize or network with other people, especially when you're in an industry like this. You know, when you're in an industry like this, you need to network because where are you going to grow? How are you going to grow? You can grow on your own on social media and stuff like that, but when you socialize and network with people, that could help you grow more because you never know who's in what's industry. You can be sitting at a bar and you meet somebody that's the head like of Warner Brothers or something like that. In LA, you just never know who you're going to meet. You can meet somebody so big and that network can lead to something bigger for you. So moving to another state, and especially, you know, California or LA, it pushes you to socialize more, and it should push you to want to network more because why come to LA if that's not your plan? Like, this is the place to grow as a person, try to get some sort of success, and, you know, this is the entertainment world or the entertainment capital of the world, pretty much, you know, even though they say Vegas is, but I would say this is like the entertainment capital of the world. You can link up with people that you don't know you're going to randomly link up with. So definitely be prepared for that when you leave your hometown and you're preparing to move to another state in general. Socialize more.
Hell yeah.
Also, it pushes you to work harder for sure. You know, I feel like, and I've told John this, like moving here to LA has pushed me like 100 times more harder to work harder. You know, back home in Seattle, I felt like I didn't need to work as hard, but I was still growing to that part where I was like, I'm trying to get to a certain level of success, but, you know, I feel like there's nobody in Seattle to compete against. In LA, we're competing against millions of people. So it definitely pushes you to work harder in this industry. Whether you're an influencer, videographer, photographer, whatever, you're competing against other people. Even though you shouldn't think of it as competing, it is competing because it's like, let's say there's another photographer and we have the same style. I'm competing against him to get the clientele. If I don't get the clientele, he gets the clientele. I lose money. You know, that's just how it is. Even if that person is a homie, like, you know, it's hard
friendly
to think.
Competition.
Yeah, it's friendly competition. It's hard to think of like your homie being a competition, but it is though. Sometimes it's like, you know, if you, like I said, you know, you meet somebody that's very comparable to you, but they land a job and you don't, you're like, fuck, like what did I do wrong? So, you know, it definitely pushes you to work harder out here and try to push your work to reach better levels, I guess.
But not only like the competitive aspect, it's also really like inspirational.
It is.
Because you're working with so many people in the industry, people who are like-minded. You know, everybody we meet is like fire in their own way. Facts. So it also fuels your fire to become better because you're in a town of like-minded people. Facts. And you see how hard other people are working, your friends, your clients, you know, the people who you brought onto the podcast. We see all our friends in our circle pushing boundaries, breaking, you know, all these industries. Some people even get awards and you're just like, wow, like I'm not doing shit.
Exactly.
You know, I gotta work harder because all the people around me is working at their best and even harder than me. So that just fuels your fire when you see other people's fire already lit. So it does push you harder being in LA as well.
Yeah, for sure. My last thing I want to talk about is a focus on yourself. So, you know, obviously when you're back home in your state or city or whatever, and you're living with your family or you're near your family, you're also thinking about your family that you're living with. You know, a lot of focus isn't on yourself as much. When you move to a state in a city where you're by yourself, majority of the focus is on yourself because you're like, how am I going to make this money? How am I going to make things happen for me? Your family is always going to be there. You can always support them in some kind of way. If you need to send them money to help them in a way, send them some money. But when you're on your own, you're always going to focus on yourself. And I feel like that's what's happened to me. You know, obviously, I try to talk to my family, my parents, and everything as much as I can. But when I've been out here, I've honestly just been on the grind. You know, sometimes it's hard to talk to my parents 24/7 or whatever because I'm tired too. You know, like as much as I want to talk to my parents and my family, it's like I'll work my full-time job. I got to go stream. I'm tired. Like I don't really want to talk to my parents.
That's a great point of like, you know, you really now that you're on your own, you put your priorities are different. like especially for you, because you're not only do we prioritize ourselves first, but also our family and things like that. You have to be wise on where you spend your energy, because now you know the cap of your energy of how much you could spend in a day. Is that spend focusing on yourself as far as your own goals, editing, things like that? Is it focused on your family? Is it focused on what you already have, baby and everything like that? Is it focused on your streaming, gaming? You got to be really wise about like how you focus your energy, because you are focused on yourself now.
For sure. And I feel like also it's good to avoid your family or your parents like when you're tired, because when you're fucking tired, you're drained. If you talk to your parents, they're gonna ask you about your day. They're gonna ask, you're getting irritated. That's how it is. Like I know a lot of people can definitely agree with this. Like once you're drained, you don't want to talk. You just want to sit back, relax, and you want to either eat, watch your show, play games, whatever you want to do. And that's how it is for me. I feel like once I'm tired, I'm done. Like, I don't want to talk. Like, sometimes that's how it is with Rachel, because, I'm fucking drained and stuff. She'll come ask me, like, talking. I just want to be on my phone and watch TV, but I'm fucking drained. Like, I feel like maybe some people are like that, but that's how I am. Like, once I'm tired, I just kind of want to relax. Exactly. Like, if I don't talk to you, it's not because I don't want to. It's because I'm tired. Thanks. And I'd rather prevent me getting angry and showing you my anger than versus, like me just relaxing. So if I'm, if
time and place.
Exactly, time and place. If I say like one worders to you or whatever, I'm just fucking tired, okay? Let me chill before I snap or something, And I know a lot of people are like that because... when you're a hard worker and stuff, you're drained, you're mentally drained, you don't want to talk. In it. Yeah, and you just want to chill at home. Let those people chill, guys, because people out here, especially in LA, work fucking hard. Like, they work their asses off to get where they want to be. And if they don't want to be bothered, let them be. They've been working all day. They've been, killing it. They've been trying to grind and all that. Like, let us just chill. Like, as much as I want to talk to you, I just don't feel in it right now. Like, I want to just relax and I want to just be myself. Let me play. Respect the grind. Let me fucking watch my TV show. Let me watch my anime or whatever, like John does, or let me play my games or stream, whatever. Like, I'd rather be put at ease with something that I want to do rather than like, talking about my day. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Exactly. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
so,
me time. You gotta focus on your me time.
That's important for sure. So, anything else you want to talk on before we end this podcast?
No, I think we spoke a lot of facts, about our sacrifices, leaving your hometown. I hope this like inspires other people to want to move out of their hometown too. If you're too comfortable and you want to explore something different and you want to become a different, person, because honestly, it's not honestly becoming a different person, but it's all about like knowing your potential, really capitalizing on the person you can become. And that's why we move out of our hometown. And honestly, it's been great, and we hope that our advice really helps you persevere into the goals that you have for this next coming year.
Facts, guys. And let us know in the comment box below if any of these correlate with you, like if you resonate with some of the stuff we talked about. I would love to know, because everybody has their own way of
like how they move,
and how they reflect on things. I definitely want to know your guys' opinions. Like, do you agree with some of the stuff that we said? Do you do anything different compared to us? Like, I definitely want to know, and John wants to know for sure. So please comment in the comments box below.
Yes, sir.
Guys, subscribe to us. We only got 500 subscribers in 3 years. So, we would love to grow our following here and stuff like that. So please, guys, if you love our content or whatever, please subscribe.
If you're a real one.
If you're a real one, please subscribe, guys.
Yes, sir.
But in general, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're not subscribed, you know what to do, y'all. Hit that button. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yeah, our goal is definitely like at least 2,000 or 3,000 by the end of this year. Please, guys, help us out. If you're not following us on Instagram, you can find us at The Artist True Drop. And if you prefer just listening, you can stream all our episodes on all major podcast platforms.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.